how do I reprogram my brain to be the character that I want to be? Welcome back to Uncivilized Rebirth. Here's a place, like I've said in the past, that I hope is a voice of rationale for the case of healing. Many times in our lives, we can be at a point where we know we don't like the road we're going down, but we don't exactly know what to do to shift or change our trajectory. And a lot of times that means we have to go in and do some healing. Or in my case, for instance, a lot of healing. And it came to my mind that I had to get past the past. That means I couldn't keep looking back to the broken version of me and regretting it and wallowing in the hurt. And I don't mean wallowing as in a bad way. I mean wallowing as in it's a comfortable place and I was used to it of like, oh man, woe is me. It hurts, the pain. And in reality, yes, the hurt of the past is real. The pain is real. The damage it does is real. But how long do we let it affect our future? Affect our decisions in the future? Let it affect how we interact with other people? Do we always have the lens of every single person is attacking me because in my childhood it was totally unsafe? Well, as an adult now, that's going to affect every interaction I have. If I wear those lenses of every single person is out to get me. Now, maybe 1 in 100 is out to help me and the 99 is out to get me. But that 1%, I got to be looking for them. And they got to be looking for me. If I want to be a difference in the world and make the case for people wanting to step into healing, then I have to heal myself. I had somebody reveal something to me, which was very enlightening, that I still have a wounded inner child. And because of that, I have this deep desire to be the hero for somebody else and to be the hero for other people and just to be like, I'm going to go out, and do this. It's like, well, it's because that wounded little boy, basically, to the best way I can understand it, is desperate for somebody to come rescue him. So he becomes the one that wants to rescue others. Then I wear the lens of everybody needs rescuing when everybody doesn't need rescuing. So I have to get past the past. That means that I can't keep looking back there and be like, oh, this happened and this happened and this happened. What that is going to do is cloud my judgment in the present moment. I'm not going to be able to look at everything going around that's happening around me and then make the best decision to move forwards, because I'm constantly replaying these reels of being the victim and replaying those feelings and those emotions, and it's just bogging me down internally. I have to step past all that and release that. How does one do that? Basically, to the best of my understanding, you have to rewrite the character that you want to be. And I had to rewrite the character that I want to be and that I want to be. Because the character that was created for me was a really broken person that did not have a strong character. And the best of my knowledge now, character is doing what's right, or who are you when nobody is around? Who are you when there is somebody that is weaker than you? How do you treat them? Who are you when you come up to the people that have hurt you and wounded you? And do you attack them back, or do you forgive them? And I have to ask that myself on a deep level. if I'm truly going to change into a better version of me, I have to have the wherewithal to face those people and forgive them. Because every time I don't forgive them and I try to attack back and I try to do things that are not good, then that is going to inhibit me from being the best version of myself in the world. I had to really sit down about 2 years ago and look at my character, look at where I ended up, and instead of just being like, oh, it's me, that's just the way I am, I had to do a deep dive to understand why I am the way I am, why I react in these certain situations this way, and why I sink to this like really low common denominator consistently when things get bad. It's like, why can't I maintain a high standard when things get bad, and then when things are good I still have that high standard, versus I see things are kind of going bad, I'm going to drop my standards. That is poor character. To get into the past a little bit, a poor character was developed within me. Very poor character. But then I became a soldier, and I had this shell of a character that was created for me. But when I was out of uniform, I would step back into that old character that the birth family had created for me. And that's in the manner of, we want you to act this way, we want you to say this, we're going to punish you if you don't do this. And just years of just, I don't know, repression and abuse, but it creates poor character. And so what happens is, with a kid in an abusive situation, the parents will abuse that child, but then if that child acts in the way the parents acted to abuse them, they punish that child because inherently, I think is the word, the parents know that their behavior is wrong and they don't want their kid to act that way, but they're allowed to do it. So it's like this very brutal way of like, you're allowed to do this when nobody's watching and you have no accountability. And then if you ever do it, like we do it to you, but then we're going to hurt you if you ever repeat this. So what is taught to a child is that if they want to have this poor character come out, there must be nobody around to see it, and nobody around. Well, that's really messed up. And I had to dig even deeper into that of, okay, why did they do this? So like I would ask questions like, why? Because when you're getting past the past, there's these question marks in our brain of like, why did this happen? Why did they treat me this way? And I started to realize these were generational things that are passed down. And I am no special exception whatsoever, because there are many, many, many people that have been through way worse than I've been through. And they have asked why also. Like, why? Why did they treat me this way? Why didn't they want me? You know? Their parents taught them that behavior, and they never were allowed to question it. And then when these high stressful situations would come in, it would trigger those actions that those parents did, and those parents did. And it's generational. That's passed down in the programming of the brain. So when I took a step back and I was like, okay, this is basically a programmed behavior that is passed down generationally. It's like, is that who I am? No, it's not. Is that who my parents were at the core? No. Because at some point in time, they were awesome little kids themselves. And somewhere along the way, they got bad programming. So when I take a step back and I start really just analytically looking at this stuff, it's like, oh, wow, like I had like programming that was done inadvertently to me. So how do I redo that? As in this gentleman, as in somebody that is forgiving, somebody that is kind and loving and validating and just people naturally attract to, and that I'm looking for the good in people. Am I perfect in that? No. Do I want to always just see people's soul? Yes. How did I program that? There was one night where it was just, I was fed up with everything. I was fed up. I was like, every direction and path I've been going is a dead end, dead end, dead end. And I really broke it down. I was like, these were self-serving paths that I was going down. And these were things that I thought that I was supposed to be after. But the brain had improper programming. So I really sat down and I wrote on a whiteboard like all the things I wanted to see in myself, all of the ways I wanted to be. And the whiteboard was full. And this was on New Year's Eve. I was by myself. I had probably cried some, and I was just so desperate for change because I didn't like at the core who I was. It's hard to look in that mirror and be like, really don't like that guy. And so I started out, the very first behavior that I started changing was how I closed my door in my car, and to be thoughtful from that. And then from the military, I had all this experience of like, make your bed every morning. But I had to change it to where I'm not doing that because like that's just what I did. I want to do this because it's who I want to become. Just a disciplined, neat and tidy person. Not only just in my external actions, but in my internal world and how I treat people. Also neat and tidy, not sloppy. So I started like making a list out every night of like, this is how I'm going to run my morning. This is how I'm going to track tasks during the day. And this is how I'm going to end the day. And I would start writing that out. And it was a process. I hit it some, I didn't do it some. But then I took a step back and I realized what I was doing was reprogramming the patterns, or not necessarily patterns, but the behaviors that were programmed into my brain. So then it would be coming from external going out versus this external discipline that was forced upon me, and there was this programming that was put in. So it wasn't my desire to do that. It was my desire not to get in trouble to do that. So it changes from when I have the guillotine over the head of like, I'm going to act this way, to internal, like, I want to act this way, not out of any force externally. So I would do the same things over and over and over. And then I got deeper in that and I realized like I had to change how I think. So I started every single morning when I wake up, I would say three positive or three things I was grateful for. And it got to the point where I'd wake up and those would automatically populate in my mind. Grateful, grateful, grateful. And it was a great way to start the day for me. And it just started building this solid baseline of building out a character that I want to be and who I want to be in the world. And a huge part of that was physical fitness as well, to the point it's like, I'm not going to do it anymore just out of this is what I used to do, but I'm going to do it now because I want to maintain this vessel. I want to do good in this vessel. And so this is why I'm going to be exercising. And then one key thing I use too is like I would get to the point of where I would want to stop in the past exercising, and then I'd truly go in deep and be like, why is my brain wanting to quit? Is this a pre-programmed limitation? And I would assess that and be like, oh, yes, this is a pre-programmed limitation for quitting. And I would push past that, which was expanding my own concept of how far I could push myself or what my limits were physically. It's like, oh, I can go past this. This is just like this. What's the thing in a vehicle where like a rev limiter, I guess that's called, or a governor? It can only go so fast. But like we can have governors put in our mind and we don't even know it. So I wrote down this list also of like what I wanted to be. And then I had a symbol I drew. And I started correlating those two. It's like every time I thought about that symbol, the character would populate. And this started helping me get past the past. So I was like, okay, now I'm not going to be sitting around blaming anything from the past, because technically the only evidence of the past is our memories, other people's memories. You got pictures, videos, you have writing, but you can't tangibly grab the past and step back into it. So it's basically something that's not real now. It is a happening of what is or what has been, but it's not here in the now. So why should we let something, or why should I let something that is not here and now affect how I move on to the next moment? And that's how I act in this moment. And so every time all that stuff in the past would populate internally, it would affect how I'm acting now. So I had to create guideposts in my mind when I would step into new territory, as in, this is how I would act historically. How is this new character going to act? And I'll tell you what, that gets into uncomfortable territory, because the brain is trying to send energy signals down old neural pathways to activate these old responses. And so you have to basically, in the brain, create a new path. And it's like, no, I'm not going to allow the energy to activate this marker, to activate these words, these emotions, these actions, which will lead to a poor outcome. I am going to control. I'm going to focus on what I want to do next. And then I'm going to step into that. And it has been one of the most rewarding, one of the most painful, one of the most uncomfortable, and one of the most fascinating experiences of my life. And I'm about 2 years into it. And it helped me create my vision. It helped me understand what I want to do with the future. And it's helped me step into a huge world of healing. And now I'm about to take my next step in the journey on going in and healing my inner wounded child that I have used the soldier that was made by the military to protect, of this hard shell of just it's like, I cannot interact in the world in a loving manner through the lens of a soldier anymore. I can't do that. But the inner wounded child that just wants to, go play Legos and throw a ball around, is scared to death of the world, because the world that little boy was raised in was brutal. But I have to go in and not coax my inner child out, but heal those wounds. And I have to be a healer for myself. I have to get past the past. And in sharing this, I hope it encourages you to find out where you want to change. I'm looking at that again, my mustache. But encourage you to look at yourself and look at your patterns and be like, what do I repeat? What do I blame that action on? And how would I rather act? And when you take a step back and look at it mechanically as brain programming, it takes away a lot of that hurt and pain, really. It's like, okay, I'm going to reprogram this brain. And in doing so, I have found, and I truly believe, your spirit is able to come to surface and you're able to step into your true life purpose. Because I truly believe that everybody has a purpose on life, and that the Creator made us to live in harmony and unity, and to be basically a tool of the Creator, to be here to help improve our lives. Okay, I'm wrapping it up. I'm done with that. If you have any negative comments, please leave them below, and I'll respond in the most gentlemanly way possible, or I might delete it. If you have any questions, please leave them below. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. And I want to encourage you on your healing journey. Roadhouse. I'm going to end the video now.